Hello and welcome to MathCat. Thanks for joining me for another week of third grade math. This week we're going to be talking about division. And you can think about division as the opposite of multiplication, or division undoes multiplication. So I think it's best to introduce this concept with an example problem. So let's go ahead and start that. Peyton bought some peaches at the farmer's market. There were 5 peaches in each bag. He bought 15 peaches altogether. How many bags did he buy? So this is a visual of what we have. We have 3 groups of 5 peaches. And if we sum those together, there's 15, 5, 10, 15. And we can look at this problem as saying we have 15 peaches and we want to divide them into bags of 5. And we've just seen that that is 1, 2, 3 bags of peaches. And when you're doing a division problem, we need to know some terminology. So the number that you're dividing into is called the dividend. The number you divide by, so we divided by 5, that's the divisor. And the answer, which in this case was 3, is called the quotient. There's different ways you might see division written. You might see it written like we did above, with that symbol. You might see it written with a slash. This can be read 15 divided by 5 or 15 over 5. You might see it as a fraction. And same thing, that can be read 15 divided by 5 or 15 over 5. And then you also might see this notation where it's 15 divided by 5 equals 3. So I would be familiar with all 4 of these ways to write a division problem and practice writing it all 4 ways when you're practicing your homework, when you're doing your homework problems. If it's written this way, try writing it one of these other ways, or all of the other ways, just so you're familiar with how it looks. So on a homework problem or a test, you're not thrown off by a different format. So if you recall in a previous video, we talked about equal groups. You can also use equal groups drawings to solve division problems, just like we did with multiplication problems. So looking at the same problem, 15 divided by 5, you would look at the total. So you would write your total, 15, and you know the group size is 5. So you would count by 5, 5, 10, 15, until you get to the answer 15. And then this is your answer. You have your number of groups, 1, 2, 3. Now remember, we did the same thing when we had equal groups for multiplication. Here we're just kind of solving it backwards, right? So when we did multiplication, we had 3, in this case, bags of peaches, right? So that's your groups, your number of groups, times the size of the group, 5, equals 15. So look, we just did the reverse of this, right? We started with 15 divided by 5, and we got 3. So just like subtraction undoes addition, division undoes multiplication. You can also look at arrays in the previous video we discussed arrays, you can also look at how arrays relates to division just like it related to multiplication. So remember, an array are rows and columns. So again, you have 15 divided by 5 equals 3. So your group size is 5. So you're going to draw your group size, 3, 4, 5, and you're going to keep counting by that group size by 5 until you get to 15. So here we have 5, 10, 15. And you can see that you have 3 rows here and 5 columns. In multiplication land, we would have done 3 times 5 equals 15. And now we're just doing the backwards of that. So we're saying we know our group size is 5, and we have 1, 2, 3 rows. So that's our number of groups. When you take 15 objects and divide them in groups of 5, you get 3 groups. So we're going to be looking at 2 different kinds of division problems, the first being equal groups and the second being equal sharing. In the equal groups problems, you know the total size of each group, so you're looking for how many groups. And in equal sharing, you know the total number of groups, which is usually like friends or whoever you're sharing the items with, and you're trying to find out how many in each group, so the group size. So we're going to start with looking at equal groups. We'll look at some examples with those problems, and then we'll move on to equal sharing. A farmer has 54 eggs. He puts 6 eggs in each carton. How many cartons will he need? So let's go ahead and write our equation. We have 54 divided by cartons of 6 eggs. And this is where you'll ask yourself, what times 6 equals 54? And if you know your multiplication facts really well, you'll know that 6 times 9 is 54. So as you can see, knowing your multiplication facts is really critical to being good at these division problems, so you can quickly see what times what equals what you're trying to divide, and that'll make these problems a lot easier. Okay, let's look at an example of an equal sharing problem. Ethan has 30 pencils. He wants to give the same number of pencils to 6 friends. How many pencils does each friend get? Oh, look, it's MathCat and all of her friends. The friends all want the same number of pencils. So we need to figure out how to solve 30, and we want to divide that by 6 friends. Now, what times 6 is 30? Well, if we know our multiplication tables, we know that's 5. So each friend gets 5 pencils. And that's how you would solve an equal shares type problem, where you know the number of groups, but you're trying to find out how many objects are in each group. In this case, a group is a friend. The last concept I want to introduce to you regarding division is remainders. Remainders are where things don't divide evenly. Let's say you brought a new delicious gummy snack to school that you want to share with your friends. And you have 7 friends that you sit with at lunch. And the pack of gummies contains 10 gummies. How can you share this pack of gummy with your friends? So one way, let's say you're going to start with giving each person 1 gummy. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's 10 gummies in your bag. So you have 3 gummies left that you can eat for yourself. So the problem is 10 divided by 7, because we have 10 gummies and we're dividing it by 7 friends, and that equals 1 because each friend gets 1 gummy, and we have 3 left over, or a remainder of 3. So we can check our work. We can multiply 7 times 1 is 7 plus 3 is 10. So you might come across these kinds of problems where they say, write an equation and determine how many are left over. So that means you divide by your number of groups, which in this case is 7, and you can only do that one time. You can only give each friend 1 gummy, and then you have 3 left over. This concludes our video on division. Hopefully now when you come across problems with division, you'll feel more confident with these problems and know how to solve them. In this video, we learned that division is about splitting things into equal groups or finding out how many groups we can make. We learned how division is connected to multiplication, used arrays, solved some word problems, and learned about what to do when you can't divide something evenly. Remember that division helps us solve real-life situations like sharing snacks. The more you practice, the easier it will get. Hopefully you see in this video that you really need to be confident about your multiplication facts in order to be good at division. Division is connected to multiplication. The more confident you are with your multiplication facts, the easier these division problems will get. Thank you so much for joining me for another week of MathCat. See you next time.